Hello, and welcome to the new video and welcome to 2024. I hope you had a fantastic Christmas and a fantastic New Year's. This is the first video I'm recording this year. I took a little break from Instagram and from recording YouTube videos, but I actually want to do something that I've not done before. I wanted to introduce myself because there's quite a few people that were asking me questions, more or less, who am I and what do I do and where I come from, etc, etc. And I thought it would be such a fun thing to do as a first video this year. And I don't know if you can remember, back in the day, that was like few years ago, there was this trend on YouTube and people were drawing their life. Basically it was called Draw My Life. And I thought this is such a cool idea, such a fun thing to do. So I decided I will tell you about myself while I'm actually drawing my life. So what I have here, it's upside down, is actually a very small dry erase board, which I have ordered from Amazon. And it comes with some pens and the eraser, the rubber thing as well. So let's do it on that one. I've actually recorded a version on my iPad, but I was struggling editing it and, with the speed and making voiceovers. And I thought, you know what, I'll just do it the old-fashioned way. So here we go. Just a pretty normal board, and we've got some markers. Which one shall we pick? I like this pink one or purple one. So let's start. I was born in 1980 in Poland. The biggest city to my place of birth is called Wrocław, and my sister still lives in that city. And this is Poland, if you didn't recognize the shape. And we grew up in a small village in southwestern Poland called Pastuchów. My parents were called Barbara, Basia, and Janusz. And my dad had a mustache. That's how I always remember him. And he always used to wear the shirt and trousers. And he was a very, very kind man. But both of them worked on a farm, which meant my mom's sister, Ivona, my auntie, she used to look after me a lot. And as she was only 11 years older than me, I really liked spending time with her. And I used to follow her everywhere she went. When I was 3, my parents had another baby, and it was my sister Gabi. And apparently when they brought her from the hospital and they put her in a cot, I didn't like her very much, and I just had one look and turned around and I started being very upset, and I went to my grandma's house and I stayed there until my dad fetched me in the evening. And we didn't like each other a lot when we were younger, but now as adults we love each other very much, and I cannot imagine my life without her. When I was 4 and my sister was 1, my parents had another baby, and this time we got a brother. My brother was called Grzegorz, but we call him Jonia, and he actually lives in Ireland. When he was old enough, he used to play with us, and sometimes we would dress him as a girl and pretended we had another sister. But really, he loved following our dad everywhere, and he even used to have this little fork that my dad had made for him so he can help him around the farm. One of my favorite memories from when we were kids living on a farm was during autumn time when we used to harvest potatoes, and that time was called wykopki, and we would help out in the fields collecting potatoes, and once everything was done, at the end of the day, we would have a little bonfire, and once the fire was out, we would bake potatoes in the ashes, and they would always stay so good. The other memory is when our dad used to work in the fields in the summer, especially. One of us would cycle to him and we would bring him his lunch, and he would always share his lunch with us. And I remember eating meatballs with him. We would sit on the ground and he would always share his meatballs and his mashed potatoes with us, and whatever drink he had. Sadly, in 2006, my dad passed away at the very young age of 50 years old, and we were all very, very sad, and until today we all miss him very much. When I was 18, I got pregnant and got married, and my first son was born in summer 1998, and his name was Lucas. I was still in the last year of school, so I was preparing for my A-level exams while taking care of a little baby, but proudly I passed all of my exams and had really, really good grades, and they were good enough for me to go to university. I started finance and management evening course, but I was missing my baby a lot, who then usually would be with my parents, so I decided to drop out after a couple of months, and I actually never regretted this decision, because at least this way I got to spend a lot of time with my baby boy and I could see him grow. In 1999, together with Lucas's dad, we decided that we wanted to move to England because Poland wasn't a great place to be at the time. So one day we just packed everything we had and we moved to London. We've worked really, really hard. I worked as a cleaner and his dad used to work on a building site. We've saved up enough money to rent a flat, and then we brought Lucas over to come and live with us. And also it was difficult because at that time we had to apply for all sorts of visas to be able to legally stay and work in the UK. In 2001, my daughter Alicia was born, and she was a little tornado comparing to her brother. She had the best hair ever. She had this little mohawk that would stand right up in the middle of her head, and we could never flatten it out. And then when she was slightly older, she had a lot of hair, and we used to call her Little Lion. In 2007, my third baby was born, and his name is Matthew. So at that point, I had 3 children, Matthew, Lucas, and Alicia. And Matthew, being my third baby, I thought he was going to be the easiest to give birth to. But I went to the hospital on Monday morning and he wasn't born until Wednesday afternoon, and it was the longest 33 hours of my life. When Matthew went to nursery, I worked part-time in a building company, and I used to drive this white Peugeot Partner, and I used to buy materials and move employees from one site to another, and sometimes I would even help out. And one day, one of my fondest memories from that time was when we were building a house extension and I got to work on a dumper. Another employee was working on a digger, and I got to help out with the dumper, and it was so much fun to do. In 2015, my marriage fell apart, and it made me very, very sad and unhappy, and I was depressed for a very long time and feeling very, very down. But slowly things started to improve, and I was in a happy place again. one of the reasons that made me happy was the fact that I started a new job as a customer service assistant on London Underground, and I used to work at Wembley Park Station, just opposite Wembley Stadium. It was a super busy place with all the concerts and football matches happening there, but I used to love standing at the top of the stairs and watch the lights of a Wembley Stadium. And the only downside, it was very, very cold in winter, and it doesn't matter how many layers you were always very, very cold. After 4 years working at Wembley Park, I started training to become a train operator, and I fully qualified in January 2020. I currently work as a train operator on the Northern Line on London Underground, and I mostly work the early shifts, which start between 5 and 6 in the morning, which means I get quite tired during the day and go to sleep very early. And sleep is actually one of the most important things on our job, because we spend so much time in a dark tunnel that it's really important you had a good night's sleep, otherwise you'll be falling asleep in the dark all the time. When I started training for my new job as a train driver, I met my best friend, my partner in crime, my love of my life, my Jason, aka Stephen, aka James. We both work in the same train depot and sometimes even see each other at work. Not very often, because like I said, I mostly work early shifts and he follows the roster, so he does all sorts of shifts. But one of his hobbies is gym. He likes going to the gym a lot, and he has very big muscles, and I love him very much. When I'm not at work, I like to do creative things. I like to draw, paint, craft, knit, crochet. I also like reading books a lot, and last year I've actually read 100 books, and all my books are on Goodreads. And if you want to find out which books I've read last year or I'm currently reading, I will leave a link in the description box below. One of the recent books that I've read was The Fourth Wing, and I love this book, and I actually gave it 5 stars. I hope you enjoyed this Draw My Life video, and hopefully you now know a little bit more about me. Please don't forget to give me thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and also don't forget to comment. And if you have any questions, also ask them and I will happily answer them. And the last but not least, please don't forget to subscribe, and if you don't want to miss another video, please also click that bell icon for notifications. For now, I thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.